Goldfinger. He's the man with the Midas touch.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. Do you know what one of my favorite Bond movies is?
Goldfinger. That movie revolves around a bad guy trying to get into Fort Knox. It seems like something every bad guy should at some point try, right?
Well, Cobra has got us covered in the cartoon series.
So, let's take a look at the episode A Battle for the Train of Gold.
But before we start, I'm just gonna say this now. I'll have notes. This saves me having to say this a bunch of times later.
The episode starts in Washington, D.C. at the Bureau of Engraving. The Joes have gotten intel that Cobra is planning to hit the place, so they've put themselves in place undercover in case there's any trouble. And sure enough, the snakes do show up.
Cobra!
The hell?
Cobra!
Okay, time out.
There's just no way a helmet would fit under that disguise. Just no way. They even made the thing more round than usual, so the Cobra officer looks like he belongs in Spaceballs. Anyway, Major Blood leads the attack, but the Joes manage to surprise the bad guys and the fight is on. One guy falls down for no reason whatsoever. Strangely enough, Blood doesn't appear to be interested in all the money there, and instead makes a beeline for the manager's vault. Duke goes in after him.
You could get hurt playing with firecrackers, Major!
Duke is an idiot.
I mean, he sees Blood set the explosives and still advances on him, knowing things are about to go boom. No wonder the guy ends up in so many comas. So, with Duke walking straight into an explosion, Blood gets away with the contents of the safe and Cobra retreats.
Oh dear Lord, no!
That's okay, pal.
They took the A-4 cassette!
No kidding. A-4, huh?
What's so special about that cassette?
The Joes are such fools. They thought we were after a few million grubby American dollars, when what we want is so much grander.
I wonder what's on there.
Play the tape, Major, before it decays with age.
Here you go, mates. Cassette A-4.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
Okay, I promise never to do that again. Ever.
Actually, the tape contains all secret information on the gold depository of Fort Knox, Cobra's real target. Knowing this, the Joes go to reinforce the troops at Fort Knox, despite the commanding officer's objections, who feels his troops are enough. To prove this, he shows a large number of troops inside the vault.
Yeah, that's bullcrap.
While the gold depository is located on an army base, it's actually guarded by the United States Mint Police. Military security only operates on the base itself, technically just protecting it, thus getting around the Posse Comitatus Act, which forbids the army being used as a police force on American soil.
Then again, given that G.I. Joe itself is seen in violation of the act on many occasions,
including in this episode itself, as they were undercover at the Bureau of Engraving, it's entirely possible that in the G.I. Joe universe, there's no such thing as the Posse Comitatus Act, meaning I'm bitching about nothing.
Holy crap, that was one hell of a tangent. Where was I again?
Oh yeah, seconds after the general has boasted about how invincible Fort Knox is, he gets dragged down an emergency hatch by Zartan, and none of his crack troops noticed a damn thing. Also, apparently, there's a tunnel right under the vault.
Crap, I'm gonna have to look this up. Well, to Google!
What do you know? There is some information to suggest that there is actually an escape tunnel there, in case anybody ever accidentally got trapped in the vault. It's only about as wide as a sewer though, and it goes straight down. As to why anybody trapped couldn't just, use a phone to get help, it happens the vault doors are on a 104-hour timer, so it's either the tunnel or constructing a toilet out of solid gold bricks.
You know what? I think I'd actually have to weigh those options.
This is all according to an eyewitness account from a journalist who was allowed in during the 70s as part of a congressional delegation.
I tried to get confirmation of this from the United States Mint, but they don't comment on security at the facility.
I'm not kidding here. I actually emailed them about it, and to their credit, they responded with that. And so I go on another watch list.
And that was another huge tangent. Hey, I had to research all this crap, so you're gonna sit there and learn something. Because...
Knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Anyway, Zartan disguises himself as the general and orders all the troops out of the vault. When the Joes go to ask what the hell is up, they get a nice surprise.
Why, I'm setting a trap, of course. For you.
Zartan!
Cobra!
Okay, where the hell did all those troops bamf in from? And how did Duke not see them before Zartan yelled Cobra? And so Duke, Scarlet, and Snake Eyes get captured as Zartan closes the vault. Meanwhile, a Cobra Rattler squadron destroys all of the Joe's heavy equipment outside. And I'm also assuming all the equipment of the army base, though we never see that. And that's the second week in a row Ace has lost the Sky Striker. So much for always being lucky, huh? Cobra takes this opportunity to steal all the gold in Fort Knox. By hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to interrupt again.
Remember Goldfinger? In that movie, the bad guy's plan was to use a nuke to irradiate the gold at Fort Knox to make it useless. This was actually a change from the book, where Goldfinger's plan was to steal the gold. It was pointed out how incredibly impractical that would be due to the weight and the sheer amount of gold. That's why in Die Hard with a Vengeance, they had dump trucks and loaders when they robbed the gold of the Federal Reserve Bank in New York, which really does contain more gold than Fort Knox.
So think about this. The plots to both the Bond movie and the Die Hard movie are more realistic than what we're seeing here.
Now that's saying something. Let's see if it can't get any more stupid. Duke rightly asks how the hell they're gonna get away with all the gold.
We have a very efficient means of transport. The Cobra bullet. Fully armed, fully armored. Top speed 200 miles per hour.
Well, there you have it. We've reached peak stupid.
I mean, how did Cobra manage to get a train on an actual railroad track without anybody noticing? And they're not being subtle about it either. The thing looks like a giant snake.
And by this time tomorrow, your country will be dead broke.
Dead broke? Maybe if the United States still used the gold standard, but they abolished that in the 70s. Everything about this episode is wrong.
Anyway, the Joes use their own form of subtlety to get inside the vault. By Michael Baying this bitch.
I think you all might want to move out of the way.
At this point, do I even need to point out the actual vault at Fort Knox isn't wide enough to drive a tank through? Yeah, They find the tunnel, but they are too late to stop the train from getting away. I also need to point out that Wild Bill is following the thing in a fully armed helicopter. Fully armed as in it has missiles. This episode could be over in 5 seconds if he'd used them. Even if they're concerned for the hostages, he could blow up the track a couple of miles in front of the train, forcing it to stop. Also, why wasn't the Dragonfly destroyed during the initial Cobra air raid?
Again, everything about this episode is wrong.
With most of the Joe vehicles destroyed, they're down to 2 slow-moving ones to give chase. Thunder has an idea though.
Wait, I got it! There's an old friend of mine lives down this road. He's got some real transportation.
Take all the mounts you need.
Yes, they're really gonna catch up to a bullet train with horses. Of course they are. After some slapstick that I'll spare you all from, the Joes start catching up with the train. So they hand-wave it by saying they took a shortcut, but I'm still calling bullcrap. Meanwhile, on the train itself, Zartan thinks they're free and clear, so they're gonna get rid of the hostages. By throwing them from the train, or what else. And in the only cool scene of the episode, Snake Eyes saves his friends even after he's thrown out himself. You know what? Snake Eyes so rarely gets to be a badass in the cartoon, I'm not even gonna complain how it's physically impossible for him to end up hanging there. He's a ninja. He's magic or something. With that, our heroes head to the front of the train, just as the cavalry arrives. Their big plan is to put their armored personnel carriers on the tracks, forcing the train to stop. Or, forcing it to plow right through them, almost derailing the thing. So much for caring about the hostages, I guess.
I reiterate, they could have just let Wild Bill blow up the tracks and/or train hours ago.
Also, where did those other APCs come from? They only had one earlier.
At least this literal and figurative train wreck of an episode is almost over.
The Joes make it to the locomotive, and Duke uses a lightsaber to get in. Yeah, it's a laser gun, but really, listen to it. They used a Star Wars sound library again. During the ensuing fight, the train's pressure system gets damaged by a chainsaw, causing an explosion that derails the train. And that's why law-abiding citizens aren't allowed to operate chainsaws on trains anymore. Stupid Cobra ruins it for everybody. Now, all the people, and I mean all the people that were on the train, make it out of the wreck alive. Not just alive, but with barely a scratch on them. Because of course they do. Wild Bill stops being just useless and begins actively aiding the enemy by abandoning his dragonfly just long enough so Zartan and the Dreadnoks can steal it and escape. Bravo, sir. Bra-frickin-vo. And so the episode ends with the Joes returning the gold to Fort Knox. And that was Battle for the Train of Gold.
Ye gods, where do I even begin?
Well, the story is completely unrealistic. And yes, I know we've seen the Joes battle giant vegetables, ghosts, and even Great Cthulhu, but I still get to complain here. Those stories used fantasy elements. This story tries to play it straight, and in the process gets about every single thing about Fort Knox wrong. Well, except the general shape of the depository building, sort of.
Also, the Joes are a bunch of dumbasses.
Duke casually walks into an explosion, and Wild Bill lets his dragonfly get stolen. Oh, and he was completely pointless. He doesn't try to stop the train, he just gets told to follow it. It's a train. It can only go in two possible directions, and they saw which way it sped off. Speaking of pointless, so was the whole chase on horseback. Since they didn't stop the train, it got indirectly derailed by the Joes on board. In conclusion, I expect this crap from the Deke series, not Sunbow. If you want to see a better and more realistic Fort Knox story, go watch the one with a character called Pussy Galore and a mute Asian man with a killer hat.
See you next time, everybody!
Go